So this is the mid-unit 5 assignment. Question 1 is determine an equation for the family of quartic functions with zeros -5/2, -1, 7/2, and 3. And then part A is write equations for two functions that belong to this family. So my first function f of x is just the zeros as stated. So that's 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2x minus 7 times x minus 3. And then my second function, g of x, is the same equation except with a leading coefficient of -2. Now part B is determine an equation for the member of the family whose graph passes through the point -2, 25. So what I did was I put -2 in for my x value for my f of x with just the roots, and I got -55. So now I needed to add a leading coefficient to my equation to get -55 to equal to 25. So what I did was I multiplied by -5/11, so that now becomes my leading coefficient. So for my final equation, h of x equals -5/11 times 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2x minus 7 and times x minus 3. Part C asks, sketch a graph of the functions in parts A and B. Okay, so I sketched the graphs here. This sketch is for f of x, which is 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2x minus 7 times x minus 3. So these are the roots and the x-intercepts. So as you can see, these are the x-intercepts here. And then my second function, g of x, equals -2 times 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2x minus 7 times x minus 3. So the only difference here is the leading coefficient, which is -2, and the x-intercepts are the same. And then finally, we have h of x graph here, and it has a leading coefficient of -5/11. So the function is -5/11 times 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2x minus 7 times x minus 3, and it has the same x-intercepts. Okay, question 2 is the distance d in kilometers traveled by a plane after t hours can be represented by d to the t equals -4t to the 3 plus 40d squared plus 500t with the restriction of 0 has to be less than or equal to t, which has to be less than or equal to 10. And it says, how long does the plane take to fly 4,088 kilometers? So what I did was I wrote the equation is equal to 4,088, and then I moved 4,088 to the right side and made this equal 0, and then I factored out the -4 from the equation, and now I have to factor out the equation in the brackets. So what I did was b over a, so that's 1022 over 1. These are the factors of that, and now I have to try each factor, positive and negative, and plug it into this equation, and if I get 0, then that's a factor. So what I did was positive 7 works for this, so I put positive 7 into this equation, and I'll get 0. So try t equals 7, and it worked. T equals 7 works, therefore t minus 7 is a factor. Now I take t minus 7 and I divide it by this equation again, and I'll get my other factor. So there's no remainder, and the factor that's left is t squared minus 3t minus 146. Now I need to factor that equation that I just said, t squared minus 3t minus 146. And to do this, you have to use the quadratic formula. So there's the quadratic formula. I plug the numbers in, and I got t equals 13.68 and t equals negative 10.68. Now I have to look back at the restrictions, and these two answers do not work because 13.68 is greater than 10, therefore it cannot be t, and negative 10.68 is less than 0, therefore it cannot equal t, and therefore 7 is the only answer for this thing. So therefore it takes 7 hours for the plane to fly 4,088 kilometers. Okay, question 3 is write an equation for a rational function whose graph has all of the indicated features. So these features are x, the x-intercept where x equals negative 4, y-intercept where y equals negative 2, vertical asymptote where x equals 2, and a horizontal asymptote where y equals 1. So first I took the two intercepts and put them into an equation. So the x-intercept is when y equals 0. So I set y to 0, and then x plus 4, and then bring the 4 over, so x equals negative 4, so therefore that works. And then y-intercept, where y equals negative 2, this is where I set x to 0, so therefore 0 plus 4 divided by 0 minus 2, 4 over negative 2 equals negative 2. So those two work. And then for vertical asymptote is when when the denominator equals 0, so x minus 2 equals 0, bring the 2 over, x equals 2, so that works. And horizontal asymptote is with the two leading coefficients with the largest degrees divide each other. So the numerator divided by the denominator for the leading coefficients. So that would be 1 over 1. So therefore the horizontal asymptote is y equals 1. So that works. So this is the final equation. Y equals x plus 4 over x minus 2.